Switzerland is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, with its magnificent snow peaks, blue lakes. This lovely country attracts 5 million foreign visitors a year. And in this way, the Swiss learn to know people from many different lands. Switzerland is bordered by Germany, France, Austria, and Italy. This small country, surrounded by powerful nations, has been able to remain neutral for the past 150 years. In 1814, at the Congress of Vienna, the great powers guaranteed Swiss neutrality, and this has proved to be in the best interests of Europe. The Swiss people have always been ready to protect their country. Each man has his own gun and ammunition in his home. The men are on call until they are 48 years of age. Today, the Swiss Army can be mobilized in 48 hours. Their banks reflect the integrity of the people. They attract capital from foreign governments as well as from foreign business. In time of war, deposits from both sides of the warring nations remain safe in this neutral country. After the war, the capital is then available to help the war-torn countries, to give them hope and to speed their recovery. This is one of the reasons other countries want this country neutral. Lucerne is one of the many charming cities and is a starting point for trips to the mountains. Around the lake are many quiet towns. The Swiss people are artistic and beautify their villages with parks and flowers. Each home has a lovely garden. Even the high school has bright flowers in the window boxes. It's Sunday, and the people stop to chat on their way home from church. The friendly Swiss are well liked by the foreign people who come to visit their country. This town near the forests has a large lumber yard. The tranquil loveliness of Lake Geneva is an inspiring setting for people to gather in the cause of peace. For over 100 years, Geneva has stood for international goodwill, perhaps more than any other city in the world. The Swiss welcome people of culture, writers, craftsmen, and even political refugees. Several of the former kings and queens of Europe now live here. The League of Nations was established here after the First World War. A plaque was placed here in memory of President Woodrow Wilson and his work for peace. The League later moved to this palace. The United Nations, now in New York City, has its European headquarters in Geneva. Here is the home of the International Labor Board of the United Nations. The Red Cross was established here 100 years ago. Its founders chose the Swiss flag in reverse colors, a compliment to Switzerland and the work of the Swiss people for international goodwill. Bern, the capital, overlooks the Aar River, a branch of the Rhine. Switzerland has plenty of electricity and is highly industrialized. Nearly half the people work in industry. They have few natural resources or materials to work with and must import the supplies to make their product. They're skilled and artistic and make things that take small amounts of material but need fine workmanship. For example, complicated machinery, clocks and music boxes, also textiles and embroidery. Bern has kept its old world charm. The arcades over the sidewalks and the street clocks lend a medieval atmosphere to this bustling, modern city. Bern University has over 2,000 students. Courses are held in German, French, Italian, and English, because all these languages are spoken in the country. The fine schools attract foreign pupils. The 7th grade girls from the Mädchen School are taking a field trip. First, the girls hike to the Rutter farm to see the harvest. Many of the farmhouses and barns are built under one roof because of the heavy snows. Katrina Rutter helps lift the bundles of grain from the farm loft. The average farm is small, less than 15 acres, and so the farmers must work hard to make a living. The Swiss import half of their food. Katrina feeds the bundles into a machine that separates the grain and drops it into bags. Next, the girls see how pottery is made. Mr. Kane, the potter, works in his home. The girls learn how he prepares the clay, molds it, and bakes it in the kiln. Mrs. Reese, their teacher, thanks him. These young people are taught to be independent and in this small democracy and know how to do many different things. Next, the girls hike to the fields to see the potato harvest. The Swiss enjoy outdoors, and the children learn to hike and climb when they're very young. And many city families take trips to the country. Switzerland is not primarily a farming country. It is mountainous, with forests and high pasture land. Only 1/5 of the people are farmers. All members of the family help harvest the potatoes, and they enjoy working together. Women do much of the farm work. As they load the potatoes, they burn the dried leaves and prepare the ground for the next crop. On these small farms, they have time for other work. It's not unusual for a farmer to be a ski instructor in winter or an alpine guide in summer. During the long winters, they often work in their homes. The men do wood carving, and the women make beautiful embroideries. Another Friday, the girls visited the city of Thun on the River Aar. An hour on the bus from Bern. The castle on the hill to the 12th century and was the home of the Counts of Kyburg. Switzerland is an old country, rich in culture and with hundreds of years of heroic history. Most of us know best the story of their hero, William Tell. The women come early to buy the fresh produce at their fine marketplace. In this country, there is on the average a bicycle for every 5 people. Few of them own cars. The farmers arrange their vegetables attractively with the prices marked in shillings. The people have achieved unity, even though they are of many different nationalities. They make change in several currencies and speak many languages. Both German and French are required in their schools. Laurie helps her family and already knows how to tend their stall. The children here often follow the trade of their parents. The Swiss people are prosperous, and few are very rich or very poor. They're famous for the care they give their less fortunate people. Life here is not hurried. The people have time to enjoy their river. Boating is a favorite pastime, and the children like to feed the swans. The small towns on the lovely lakes are like picture book places. It seems as if every part of this country is beautiful. In the fall, when the snows come far down the mountainsides, it is necessary to bring the cattle down to their winter barns. In the high summer pastures, there are barns where grain is stored, and often there are accommodations for the men who tend the herds. The girls enjoyed this excursion, as it's quite a celebration when the cattle are brought down to winter quarters. The bell cows are decorated with flowers, and often there are parties afterward. Dairy foods are their main farm product. They're famous for their cheese and condensed milk. Swiss chocolate is well known in foreign countries. The girls have enjoyed the celebration and returned to the Carnet home for their picnic lunch. Distances are not great in this small country that is only about 200 miles long at its greatest length. The girls have a chance to know their homeland and become closer friends. They have fun and joke as they make plans for their next trip. Interlaken lies at the foot of the Jungfrau. There are many interesting trips for both tourists and mountain climbers. Everything is done to increase their comfort and enjoyment, for the Swiss are the most famous hosts in the world. Switzerland is often called the playground of Europe. Then, too, tourists have been a key business for many years. Attractive eating places tempt the tourists with their excellent Swiss food. The farmhouses are charming with their wide eaves for protection from the heavy snows. Chief the dog helps the family pull a load of hay from the fields. Grandfather is an invalid and cannot help. Zermatt is one of the famous resorts where climbers start their treks to the Matterhorn. Many less active tourists take cable cars or the cogwheel railroad to the snow line without actually climbing in the snow. The cable car follows the river and scattered farms, and Zermatt is left far below. Up, up it goes, past the meadows and forests. It's a bumpy ride and gives a jerk every time it passes a post. There are small chapels in the highest villages. Many people have lost their lives in attempting to climb the lofty peak. The frontiers have made it difficult for an enemy to invade the country. At the end of the cable car ride, people may spend a few hours before returning to their comfortable hotels. The cable car also carries materials for building the high roads. It's a steep climb for the villagers who carry their own supplies. There's a hotel and also a chapel where high climbers pray before starting their hazardous ascent. In this great solitude, one has time to wonder how the Swiss people have been able to maintain a neutral position with wars on every side of them. We have seen some of the reasons, and as we think about the needs of the world, it is good to know that one small country could contribute so much toward peace and permanent goodwill throughout the world.